What's up, dude?
Here we are on Zoom.
We're here.
Yay. All right. I don't know about you, but I marked the occasion and did the best practices of someone doing anything on audio. I drank a ton of milk, so I'm going to sound nice and smooth tonight.
Ooh, that was a bold move.
I know, I'm so confident in my podcasting skills. I was like, you know what? It's not hard enough. Let's have some dairy.
Let's chug some dairy.
No.
What every good voice artist does right before a show.
Let's chug some dairy.
Let's chug it.
I've been
dude, perfect.
I work out at night now. Like I started exercising at night yesterday. And because mornings have not been cutting it for me.
Yeah.
Which is weird because I passed the 30-day threshold and everything. Like I got through like the habit forming phase of consistently getting up early and like lifting weights and walking or running. And then for whatever reason, like I hit a patch and I couldn't keep it up. And I was just hitting the snooze. I couldn't do it. And for like 2 weeks, I failed to do it. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm done doing this.
I guess that's over.
The only other option was to do it at night. So I had to manipulate the whole schedule again. So that's all to say that the milk was for the whey powder or whatever afterwards. So that's the only reason I had the milk before the show. It wasn't like a fun way to cripple myself.
It wasn't a fun chug.
Remember I told you about the great camp race when I was at running camp and my friend Robbie chugged the V8.
Yeah.
And someone else chugged buttermilk.
Didn't go over well. Didn't go over well.
Built to fail, as they say.
That's right.
Yes.
Well, hey, happy belated birthday.
Oh, thank you.
We're recording this one day after your birthday.
Yes. Yeah, man. It was kind of just another day, work and just kind of hanging out at the house. But it was relaxing. I've been getting through this. I bought that book, the Facebook book, the one that Sarah Wynne Williams just wrote, Careless People.
Oh, okay.
She was like their foreign policy liaison person for growth. It's pretty cool so far. Pretty about halfway through it, because it kept being marketed as like this is the book that Facebook doesn't want you to read, and I was like, sold. So I bought a copy, and so far it's been pretty cool. Just one of those books about how businesses suck.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah. That's always a good topic.
Yeah. Always a safe theme.
That's right.
Never disappoints.
That's right.
Except it's so disappointing.
except it's so depressing.
It never disappoints except when it's disappointing. Delivers on disappointment. All right. Well, hopefully that's not the theme of tonight's film. We're here to talk about Thunderbolts. Asterisk. All right.
Let's talk facts. The Avengers are not coming. Who will keep the American people safe?
There's some big threat out there, and you are gonna help me stop it.
Wait, us?
Yeah, you. Why, you got someplace to be?
I love that guy.
So none of us comply? So what, we all just punch and shoot?
I can't think of a worse group of people trying to work together.
Stop! Speed! John, stop!
Where were you?
Where are you?
Everyone here has done bad things. You can't escape the past. Hey, it's like your mind is somewhere else.
So you can do something about it now, or live with it forever.
This could get messy.
No shit. You thought you were gonna be some great saviors? You can't even save yourself.
We can't do this. No one here is a hero.
Lena, when I look at you, I don't see your mistakes. That's why we need each other.
Okay, that was really good.
We are the Thunderbolts!
Can't call ourselves that.
God, thank you.
This has makings of team that can rise to glory. Bring light from the darkness. This team can be the heroes on the Wheaties box. With a little giddy toy.
So this is Thunderbolts. This is the newest Marvel movie, apparently the 36th film in the MCU. It's directed by Jake Schreier. Didn't think about standing. I can't really scroll my mouse. Jake Schreier, who is the director of Robot and Frank, if you remember that film, which is a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Starring Florence Pugh, Sebastian Stan, Wyatt Russell, Olga Kurylenko, Louis Pullman, Geraldine Viswanathan, Chris Bauer, Wendell Pierce, David Harbour, Hannah John Kamen, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus. So this film is principally centered around Florence Pugh's character, Yelena Belova, but it's an ensemble cast here, but she's the main point of view character. And it centers essentially around these kind of anti-heroes or, kind of side morally grave people in the MCU that we've all met before. And how they, in some capacity or another, work in like shadow ops for the CIA. And they've basically been sent to kill each other as a way to mop up this operation that the Senate is investigating. Because in case you missed it in subsequent in previous films, Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, the Julia Louis-Dreyfus character, the kind of more morally gray Nick Fury, as they once called her, is like the head of the CIA. By the way, I think it's just pure coincidence that she has like that Bride of Frankenstein like white thing in her hair, just like Tulsi Gabbard does.
Oh yeah,
who's the director of national intelligence. I was like, okay, this was shot before she was even. That's just a happy accident.
Yeah, I think so.
There was a part of me that thought, I wonder if they went in post and just like, it wouldn't surprise me if they
did it in post.
They just did her entire hair in post.
Maybe so.
Anyway, so they realize that they've been sent to kill each other. They decide instead to team up and to kind of get to the bottom of why they are being sent to kill each other. And other things happen. Other things ensue. Yeah. So I saw this on Sunday, Dustin. When did you watch it?
I also saw it Sunday. I saw it Sunday night.
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
In a theater, legitimately by myself.
Really?
Yes. Not a soul in there but me.
Really?
I was so shocked.
That is shocking.
It was like a 9 p.m. screening, so it was late, but not that late.
Huh.
There's not a soul in there.
Okay. It's the 8th highest grossing film of the year so far, apparently.
Yeah.
So that's just
my theater did not reflect that.
It's just a weird gap in the.
I just had my shirt off.
You're like Alexi. Yes.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like as we've gone on, the years have taken us through time, and we've all sort of personally identified one way or the other with one of these heroes at this point in the MCU. And I feel like the MCU has all these characters that you can kind of see yourself in. And the older I get, like I was watching this film and I was like, oh, I'm Alexi. I'm the Red Guardian. Just on his couch.
Oh no. Yeah.
Just a few pounds too heavy. Just itching to get back in the fight.
Sure.
All right, Dustin, what did you think of the movie?
So overall, I gave it 3 stars. I thought the movie was pretty mid. Like it's not terrible. I think probably it deserves more like a 2.5, but the truth is I think which is a true mid, I guess. But for me, I feel like, I had fun while I was watching it. It's just, it didn't stand up to scrutiny. And so for me, that was the biggest problem. And I have a couple problems, which we'll get into, I assume, with spoilers. But for me, I thought it was fine. Nothing to write home about. And again, it seems like with every movie, there's like a new swarm of people that go, Marvel's back, baby. And a lot of people who are like, they're not back yet. And I'm like, and I'm over here going like, I don't know if they ever went away. I just think they've gotten bad. I don't know if I reject the premise, but I do think that it's not great. It's not bad. It's just somewhere right in the middle. So, is I know what they mean. Is Marvel back? No. But really and truly, Marvel was at its peak with, we've talked about this ad nauseum with Infinity War and Endgame. That was its peak. It's this moment that everything is leading up towards. It's the series finale, so to speak. It was the peak of Marvel. And that won't happen again until all the plot lines converge and we get another giant team up film. Mm-hmm. So is Marvel back? No, but I don't think that they're ever going to be back in that way again. They'll just be back in a different form. So if you're sitting there waiting on like Marvel to return to the greatness of Infinity War and Endgame, I think you're going to be waiting a very long time. So I'm not going to hold this to that bar. I'm just going to say this is a fine movie. It's whatever. Okay.
All right.
What'd you think?
I'm going to bring it back up a little bit.
Okay.
I liked Thunderbolts. I liked it a hell of a lot more than Captain America: Brave New World.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's a low bar to set.
It's a low bar.
I was talking to somebody about it, and I was like, well, first of all, they're just fundamentally different kinds of films. I felt like, I feel like Brave New World is pure popcorn, entertainment, and I don't think that Thunderbolts fits that bill. I appreciated that it felt like it was truly not in any subtle way was it about something. Like it was about, sure. It was clearly about something. Now it was sort of in your face maybe toward the end about it. But it was very clearly had different kinds of goals and stakes than Brave New World did. Brave New World's got aircraft carriers and, countries about to go to war and everything. And this is like, we need to be there for each other kind of a thing. And this is my biggest problem with Brave New World is it feels like a movie by a committee in a very real way. It was like, we have to make this one work. Yeah. So everybody and their brother put their stamp on it. And like, hey, I think in order for this to pass muster, it's going to have to be this. Yeah. And so it just became that. And then it just like piled on all the ideas until it wasn't about anything. Yeah, it just felt like it felt like the puree that this protein shake was before I started recording. And it's just, all right, do we have everything?
Literally, somebody's just like, I like Hulk. Okay, put some Hulk in there. Yeah, put a little bit of Hulk in there.
A little cayenne pepper.
Yeah.
I only watched the one trailer, so I was unaware structure-wise where the movie was going to go. I was pulling the trailers before we sat down.
Sure.
And I was looking at them, and as usual, the later ones, you go like, oh, wow, this is like, it shows the acts of the film start to finish. Like, yeah, how disappointing this would be for people to see this and then see the film and have no surprises. And,
everything's spoiled. Yeah.
Right. So I appreciated that I got to experience just like, okay, I'm not sure where the movie's going. I'm not even sure who the villain's going to be till a certain point. And like, I appreciated a little bit of like, oh, I'm not sure what the plot is really, but I'm in with these characters,
Sure.
And I felt like the emphasis truly was on the characters and not on action set pieces. Though the action was effective when they had it, I didn't feel like the action was gratuitous in any way. I didn't feel like there was just a bunch of cannon fodder for them to fight, which was interesting because, it's a big ensemble film. Like, you want them to do that kind of thing. And there's none of that here. But also the times when they fought each other was all worked for the story and all made sense. Yeah. And there's relatively few fight scenes like that. It's just kind of like A lot of it is character work. That's not to say that the presence and formulation of these characters still doesn't feel corporate manipulated to an extent. Like,
sure,
this is obviously, it's too hard now to watch a Marvel film and not be thinking, I think even regular moviegoers are looking and like talking about what the boardroom said about who was going to be in this film. And it's just, I think that's just inescapable at this point.
Yeah.
But I think that the movie does end up with all that stuff pushing the story world forward in ways that I think haven't been done in a while in the MCU. We've been saying since, what was the first or second movie after Endgame, like, oh yeah, there's no interconnectivity anymore. Like and for whatever reason, because of COVID, because of changing the schedule, because of reshoots, or because of just plain old incompetence. Like, we truly don't know where we're going. And it's like, great. And so that lack of what to anticipate has been killing the MCU post Endgame for me. And it was nice that by the end of the movie, we actually got a clear sense of where we are in the overall narrative and what's coming next. Another reviewer pointed out that it's not some vague, like, oh, here's Charlize Theron. Like, we'll with Doctor Strange, we'll probably never see this
out later.
Yeah, we don't know what this is. Or here's Harry Styles, and or here's the Council of Kangs. Like, all this stuff that we may never actually end up seeing. Yeah. Like, there's a thing that's like, hey, this movie's coming out in a few weeks. You'll see it pretty soon.
Yeah.
Hey, look.
No, it's true.
It's a thing. And you're like, oh, great. And this is a thing I know is happening, and I don't have to wait long to look at it. Yep. So I think my non-spoiler thoughts on it are basically, if you are on the fence about this, again, you either want to go see a Marvel movie or you don't. And if you don't, it's like, okay, I can't really offer you anything other than it's a Marvel movie and it's not a waste of time.
Sure.
I think that if you're trying to figure out when to see it, or if you should wait till Disney Plus, I'd see it in theaters. I enjoyed seeing this. And I would encourage it. And it was weird because I wasn't excited about this at all. And I tend to have an inverted spidey sense with these things. Usually the stuff I'm looking the most forward to normally, I mean, I like Infinity War and stuff, but like normally the stuff I look at and go, well, that's stupid, ends up being surprisingly good. Yeah. And so for years I've been like, I don't really care about Thunderbolts at all. And then I saw a trailer for it and I was like, that looks all right. And then, I'm seeing like early buzz for it. And I'm like, people like this. And then I go in and see it. I'm like, I liked this.
Sure.
It's weird. So I have enough data now to actually like start living my life that way, and like to start picking movies that way. Like I should be doing something with this knowledge, and I'm not. So I would say, to put you over the top, I liked it. And I just appreciated that I saw something that was a little unexpected. And someone made a comparison to the whole team of misfits trope, like the Guardians of the Galaxy and the Suicide Squad. I didn't think about that once during this. I never ever, like, there not once did I think about, oh, this is just like piggybacking off of that trope or anything. Like, it was only after the fact where I went, oh, I guess it sort of fits that broadly, but that's not what this is at all. Like, it's really not.
No,
it's fairly serious. It's not even like that funny. Like, it's a fairly serious, dramatic film, Yeah.
I thought of that comparison when it was announced and when there was, the first trailers and whatnot. And like, I didn't watch any of the trailers, but I just kind of got enough of it to be like, oh yeah, this is probably one of those kind of things. But then when I watched the movie, like, yeah, you're right. I didn't think about that at all. I wasn't comparing this to anything else. It was just its own thing. I think, it's really not even a 1-to-1, because these are characters that we know. If you think about the Suicide Squad or you think about Guardians, at that point when those came out, it was like made up of a bunch of characters you don't know.
Yeah.
And they have the unfortunate task of like introducing them all to you. But here we already know the characters, so it's really not a 1-to-1 thing. And the characters aren't supervillains. They're just morally gray, conflicted heroes, save for maybe one or two, and like everyone else is heroes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't, they're learning how to be heroes. They're just not there yet. Like they're not up to the level of Steve Rogers or Tony Stark, but they are trying to be. And that's the thing that like Guardians and Suicide Squad never was. They're not trying to be heroes. Right. Maybe they inadvertently become that, but this movie is very much about like, how do I better myself and become, something that I forgot how to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that to me separates it, because it's not irreverent in that other way. It's way more hero's journey-ish.
Well, heck, do you want to just get into spoilers?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. There are spoilers now.
Spoilers. Can I talk about something I really liked?
Yeah.
I really liked Sentry. Like very rarely is there a character that on their first film, I'm like, I really want to see a whole movie about this person, or I just need to see this person more. And Sentry was one of those. And like a lot of people oversimplify Sentry and they're like, oh, he's just Marvel's Superman. It's not that simple. But I did enjoy the idea of like, because we've talked even on this podcast about like how sick I am of the evil Superman trope. They're like, when you can't tell a good story about Superman, you just write an evil Superman. And this isn't that. Like, this is something altogether different, but it is a story about like a guy who has none of the moral fortitude or upbringing that Clark Kent has. It's just a dude, and not really, a stand-up dude. He's more a junkie than anything. And what happens when that guy becomes Superman? And that to me is kind of interesting. It's not evil Superman. It's just a different take on what that might be. But all that said, it's also not super one-to-one with what Superman is, because Sentry has the Void, and Sentry has, like powers, at least in the comics, that are way sort of beyond what Superman has. Like, I think more than Marvel just saying like, we want to create our own Superman, they almost said like, we want to create our own Dr. Manhattan, or we want to create our own version of Superman. Like, hey, if everyone's complaint is that Superman is overpowered, then we're going to overpower Superman and see if we can make him interesting. And so I think that's what the Sentry is. But regardless, I really enjoyed that main fight scene that he had with the Thunderbolts. And thought that was a really cool visual. Like, I'm a sucker for any time you can show like, do you remember in Man of Steel, as wonky as that movie was, there's like a couple fight scenes where Superman's moving really quickly. Yeah. And that always like stuck out to me as like being really impactful. Yeah. That we always forget how fast Superman is. Yeah. And there's a couple moments in here where Sentry is that same kind of fast, and I'm like, that's really cool and really like satisfying to see. So I really enjoyed that sequence, and I really enjoyed that character, and I really enjoyed Lewis Pullman's take on him, because I felt like, he really played the like the victimized junkie, the like unsure of himself, put upon hero, and then also the, oh, I'm realizing I'm a god. Like all of those kind of things, he does really well. And so I enjoyed his performance. I enjoyed that sequence. It really is the only sequence we get with Sentry in the film. And I think that's both a good and a bad thing. Like, I would have loved to have seen more, but at the same time, it really makes me want to see more. And so maybe that was by design, but I enjoyed that.
I mean, I think that there's a lot of great performances in here. I thought Florence Pugh was tremendous in this, especially for a movie where, like, I have to admit, like, when it was first announced, I was like, I feel like everyone's just going to kind of cash their check and phone it in. And I felt like an actual real emotional performance from her in here. Everyone's great. I was glad to see Hannah John Kamen back, because I love Ghost, and I was a little taken aback that Taskmaster is murdered so fast.
I laughed so hard. I literally was like, that can't be it, right?
Yeah. Well,
they literally paid Olga Kurylenko like $12 and a Big Mac to be in that one. Literally, they probably just said over Zoom, like, just do this.
Yeah.
And that's all we need from you. Thanks.
You know,
we're going to pay you via PayPal.
They even if you look at if you go look at the trailers and stuff, they have comped her into shots she is not in.
And she's in all of like the posters and stuff.
She's on the poster. I remember thinking like, but there's 6 points of the asterisk and she's at the table pointing the guy. No.
Well, I say she's in it. It is someone in the costume that's in those photos, and you know what I mean?
I wouldn't be surprised if they paid her just for her likeness to just face swap her in that one shot where she's not wearing her mask.
Oh yeah,
I doubt she was actually there. That makes me wonder.
Yeah, what did they fly her to? Utah or wherever that was filmed.
Yeah.
And then put her up in a hotel for 2 nights. No. They just said,
for
you know
one
what?
Shot.
Yeah. Use your iPhone and just snarl. Great, thanks.
Snarl.
Just snarl.
Once we enter the darkness, once we enter the shadow land, whatever, I thought the movie got so interesting. Because I already liked it as like a character piece at that point. And then we're in the third act and it's like, okay, we're just going to punch him until he stops. What are we going to do?
Right.
And so we walk in, it's like, oh, okay, confront the darkness. But now I guess she's dead. I don't know. Maybe she's dead. Maybe she comes out with Bob. I don't know. And then we wake up and we're in there and I was like, oh, we're going to do like a thing. We're going to do like a
inside your mind.
Yeah. An inside your mind thing. And I liked that a lot because I liked how many times Yelena goes to the forest and has to kind of relive her first mission. I like her, shielding her young self's eyes from the girls getting punished for not putting the guns together as fast as she did.
Yeah.
And as stock as it was, I really enjoyed when she gets to Bob in his attic and you can hear his dad yelling at hitting his mom downstairs. Even some people were like, oh, come on, like the abusive dad. And it's like, if it ain't broke, like it's a thing. And, there's just little touches. It wasn't just like, you're just like your mother. It was little things. It was the fact that you could hear his mom saying like, you're right. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said it. You can actually, the actually hearing those lines spoken instead of implied, like it's a little bit more mature and adult in that sense where like, it's depressing to hear that and to know that it happens and it's common. And just the sort of swell of goodness you feel in young Bob who goes and tries to defend his mom. And that tells you a lot about Bob. Like there is a hero in him. He's made a lot of mistakes. He, went down a bad path, but like in that little moment, like that tells you something about him where he's this inherently heroic person who wants to defend a weak person from a bully. And, that same upbringing kind of fucks him up a little bit and makes him susceptible to making bad decisions. But at his core, he's still like a really good person. I loved all of that stuff. I kind of wish that when everyone else came in, other things happened. They kind of just break out. I wanted to see a little more, but like, we got glimpses. We got glimpses of John Walker's stuff. But nothing from Ghost, nothing, and I guess we've seen plenty from Bucky. So what else do we want to see? But just, I don't know, a little more. But I liked that the movie essentially climaxes with this emotional resolution of them just rallying to support Bob. And, instead of like, because he starts like punching the dark self, and it's like, yeah, just hit the darkness, and then you're like, I don't know, that doesn't seem like the right move. And of course, then he starts becoming dark, and you're like, oh, of course you shouldn't use violence, like, I liked all that, even as, ham-fisted as it may be. Like, I was like, well, that's the perfect way to cap off this movie. There's not a better way really to end this movie that I can think of.
Yeah. So a couple things. One, when we went into we'll just call it the void or the shadow realm, or I don't know what we're going to call it. But within that, like, I thought that was super interesting. I agree with you. I think we should have seen more, and it should have pushed it more. Not that I want it to be like super dark and depressing, but I do think it could have been a little more surreal than it was.
Yeah.
And a little more like, for lack of a better blockbuster example, like a little more Inception-y, like it could have been, a little more twisted in that way. And I would have enjoyed that. I thought, so we'll talk more about this in a minute. I actually wrote a bunch of notes. We'll talk about this more in a minute, but there's the plot contrivance of like, so she can see into Bob's attic, and I guess everyone else can, but like they can't see all the other people. It all just seems a little contrived, like that they're able to connect in this world. Like obviously the writer can write anything they want, but like within the context of that world, why would it be interconnected?
Yeah. Why would you be able to go into Bob's trauma?
Yeah, that doesn't really track. When
she broke through that wall, she missed the sign that said movie. This is a movie.
She broke through the screenplay. That's what should have happened.
She broke through Lewis Pullman's pages, the ones that are watermarked just for him.
Yes, that's right. And I think like so there's that point which I was a little like taken out of. Sure. And then to your point, like when he starts punching the darkness, I was like, I hope this isn't what this becomes. Yes. Like,
yeah, just beat the shit out of that darkness, bro.
This was on track for something better. Yeah. And so I almost wish they hadn't gone that way at all. Like the idea of like it overcoming you is interesting, but I think it's like sort of irrelevant because in a weird way it already has overcome him. Yeah. And the point is that he has to overcome it, not that it might threaten to do more damage to him. Like he's already damaged, you know what I mean? And so for me, it should have just started with either like some of the other Thunderbolts attacking him and Bob not knowing what to do until finally they all realize or something. But the idea of like Bob being the one to punch, it just feels like that wasn't that the idea of him becoming more dark, that didn't feel like that was an option. Like, I don't know. It just seemed weird to me.
I think what I liked about it was that it showed that Bob's instinct as someone who is as damaged as he is wasn't the right one on his own. Like on his own, he wouldn't know to take the right actions. Yeah. And so it's with support that he is able to see the right way to deal with this. Yeah. And that his first individual violent instinct to suppress it or to beat it into submission, as it were, isn't the right way to go about it. And I think it also serves a narrative purpose where, like, I don't think it's necessarily that he would even sink lower. I think that the darkness overcoming him in that scene is, oh, he's about to be gone. He's about to be past the point of no return. Like he's about to be beyond help.
Sure.
And I think that it's more of a manifestation of that.
Sure. And I think like, for me, the if the capstone is that the Thunderbolts need to join around him and support him in this, like him going about it that way felt weird to me. Cause like, I understand the idea, like the metaphor was she told him to push it down. Like she told him like, just shove it down. Yeah. But punching it, I don't think was the right visual of that. Okay. Of that thing. And I think there should have been a different visual. And I don't know what it is. If it's, eating it, like, I don't know how you film that.
He could have drowned it. drowning it.
Whatever it is, but
get under the water, and then the black starts creeping up his arms.
Sure, I mean it's literally like I'm trying to push it down or bottle it up, whatever that is, until Yelena needs to be the one to say I was wrong.
He throws a Pokeball at it. No, you son of a bitch, you got me.
I did like it. And I do have questions too about when they came out of it, why he was physically with them and not physically in the air or physically, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of that kind of stuff where by that point, and we can get into some of this, but like by that point I was kind of nitpicking a little bit because there was just a lot of things that had built up, and so I was kind of like, okay, but I'm like, okay, so his hair's not blonde anymore, like, so this changed the pigment of his hair, and also this changed, I don't know, it just seems weird. Like, why can't he just be a blonde Sentry? Like, I almost expected him to be like I thought, okay, they're going to come out of this and they're all going to be on the ground or whatever, like where they were. Like it seemed like everybody else populated back where they were, that they would all populate back where they were. But then she would look up and see Sentry there and the darkness now gone, and he's in full glory, sun behind him, and it's like, cool, I'm back. But of course that doesn't play into whatever they're trying to do with Sentry moving forward. We know from the post credits that he's like, I can't do it anymore without the other guy or whatever he says.
Yeah.
But I still feel like that also defeated the message of the film, like the fact that he can't control it or doesn't feel like he can do it anymore. That kind of defeated the purpose of defeating it in the first place.
What did Michel Gondry say to Jim Carrey? You're so broken, it's magnificent. It's like once your brokenness is gone, so goes your skills and everything special about you.
Sure. Yeah. But I could see them doing that still and having the moment where he's full Sentry, sun shining, and then he, comes down to earth and the costume melts away, the pigment melts away in his hair, and he's just like, I'm Bob again. I don't know if I can do that anymore. But at least we get that moment of like victory. Anyway, that's a nitpick, but that is like, had I written or directed it, that's probably where I would have gone just visually.
Yeah. But it definitely screams of they have different plans for this character. Like they don't want to commit to what he can or can't do just yet.
Sure. Yeah. They want to milk it for some more drama, and that's fine.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, I think you can still have your cake and eat it too. You can still have the visual and then let the powers melt away into something. I don't know if I can do it anymore. Like I'm trying and I can't do it, whatever. All that said, I did like his story, and I appreciate that the film was trying to be about something, trauma, depression, whatever. And to mirror that with our protagonists, kind of internal state, I think also was a good move, and Yelena was a good pick for that.
I felt like with the characters earned that darkness and that kind of level of introspection.
Sure,
like Bucky's mostly past it, but that's why he's the right character to kind of shepherd them through that in a way.
Sure.
And I thought it was a good pick of characters who, I mean, obviously Yelena and Alexei are the best ones, and everyone else is like, oh, that works too. Ghost, you work too. Okay, we could bring you back. People might remember you. We've introduced you before, so we can claim people should know you.
Yeah, totally. Well, I want to talk about Bucky too, because you were mentioning Bucky. So for me, like, Bucky is, I think, my favorite of these characters, just, historically, everything Bucky's been through.
Yeah.
Me, I like Captain America. So Bucky's tie to that is great. And so I was really looking forward to Bucky in this film as like the leader of it. And I think they kind of did him dirty in this movie. And I'll tell you why. So this is my TED Talk. When the film begins, Valentina is being questioned And we see Bucky kind of walking into the courtroom, and he is stopped by the press. And as we know from Brave New World, he's now a congressman. Is that right?
Yeah.
And so he's stopped by the press, and they ask him some questions, and he kind of, one, looks bored or like disinterested, and two, he kind of fails to come up with a good statement for them. He uses the word worrisome, or I think a lot, or whatever it was.
Yeah,
worrying. And then we see him again a second time, this time at home. He's got some like documents, some work documents, stacked up on his kitchen countertop or whatever. And he's eating a chili dog or something. And he's clearly like checked out, disinterested in this, throws his arm in the dishwasher. It's that sequence. And so he, to me, this tells me two things. One, he doesn't particularly like being a congressman, and he's also not particularly good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he seemingly throws it all away to go after the Thunderbolts and have this really cool, admittedly cool, motorcycle chase. And then he joins them in this, quest against Valentina, which of course would likely mean the end of his political career forever.
Yes.
And then by the end, again, we're in spoilers. By the end, he becomes one of the new Avengers.
Yeah.
And sticks with that team despite what we're told, but we don't get to see, is a rift between him and Sam that seems to be, or at least he believes to be, kind of irreparable. And I'm sure this will lead into whatever's happening in Doomsday and whatnot, with two Avengers teams kind of at odds with one another, which is a fine idea. But to me, all of this story with Bucky is incredibly, it's a huge disservice to that character. I don't know why he would be a congressman if he didn't want to be.
Yeah.
And I have no reason to believe he would not be good at it. I also have no reason to believe that he would give all of that up at the drop of a hat. And especially not because of something because Valentina's assistant tells him something.
Yeah.
I don't buy that. And obviously the age old thing that we've had to let go of, a decade ago is, well, why don't the Avengers just call each other for help? But in Bucky's case, why not? He has a Captain America seemingly at his beck and call. Why not be like, Sam, I can't touch this, but I need your help. And why I can't touch this. This would kill my political career, and I'm trying to do some good here, and I need your help. And I don't see why Sam wouldn't be like, all right, buddy, I got you. And I'm just not following the logic of that.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even get positioned as either the protagonist of the film, which is kind of what I assumed, which again, I never saw a trailer, so my bad assumption. Two, he doesn't even get to me to really be the mentor. Yelena solves the problem, mentors Bob. Who does he mentor? Which then leads me into my another problem, not bigger, but just another, but it intersects with this, is you have a few super soldiers here. You've got the Red Guardian, and Alexei, should be kind of worshiping the Winter Soldier, to me, it seems. And then you also have John Walker. Now we know that they've all the things that Bucky and John Walker have been through together, but just like Bucky gets kind of thrown under the bus in terms of character development, so does everyone else but Yelena, and to a lesser extent Alexei. But Yelena and Bob really get the lion's share of the story here, and everyone else gets thrown under the bus. I can't even think of a single line that Ghost says in this film, much less anything that she does character wise. And so for me, John Walker is the next thing. Like, he needed Bucky's leadership here. He needed Bucky to say something or do something. And what I kept waiting for at the end of this was a moment where the characters, like, you have to understand what their goals are. It's not clear what Bucky's goal is in this, like, besides maybe helping somebody in a vague sense, but I don't know who he's really drawn to helping here.
Yeah.
And then two, like, what is his goal? But we do know John Walker has at least some sort of deep-seated shame over the loss of his wife and son. And perhaps the story should have been him, reconciling with them, or at least having a chance at seeing his son again, even if there's no reconciliation with the wife, whatever.
Yeah.
Some sort of reward for his service here, I think is needed. And I think that because Bucky specifically called out, I know about your wife and son, John, like, because Bucky calls that out, I thought Bucky would also be the one at the end to use something to get him the chance to see them again.
Yeah.
Right. Even if it's like, hey, I called them. She agreed to see you. That's probably all it's going to be, but you can see your son, whatever it is. I mean, that's dumb. Like, that's a dumb idea, the way I just presented it, but like some sort of reward for John Walker that would complete his arc of like, I feel this deep seated trauma and shame. And just like Yelena and Bob learn how to deal with this really negative, traumatic thing that happened, I now get a chance at figuring out how to deal with mine. And in his case, it should come in the form of reconciling at least with his son or having a moment with him. And that should happen with Bucky's help. And that allows Bucky to be super soldier the way that Steve would have been. And I think that would have been a really cool moment, and it would have served both characters really well. And anyway, all that to say, John Walker gets a setup arc here that never pays off. And Bucky, I just don't know what he's thinking. I have no indication what Bucky wants out of this. And then in terms of like the plot mechanics, which, well, I've talked a lot. I'll give you a minute to respond.
I don't know. I don't really know what to say. I mean, like, I agree. I mean, man, it's so hard to know like what they didn't include because of not wanting to tread too much ground for the future, and what they didn't include because they just didn't think of it, Sure. So, I think a little bit more. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think there was a lot more fertile ground to further explore Walker and Bucky. I don't even like the idea that there's a rift. Like,
I don't either.
Like, I don't
like that idea.
I was like, oh, interesting. Like, Sam's sort of upset that they're called the New Avengers and that it's confusing.
Yeah.
I thought that was it. And then they went further with it, and I was like, wait, seriously? You're mad about this? Well. Yeah.
Well, but I think it would have played differently if we had seen it. If the post-credit scene had been Bucky meeting up with Sam and saying like, hey, we're the New Avengers, come join us. And then we saw that altercation and we could understand Sam's point of view. But as it is, we don't know what the altercation really ultimately was about other than branding. Well, and we also don't get Sam's side of it.
So what we know is it's been 14 months. We know that there's a Fantastic Four movie coming out in a few weeks. And that, I mean, hell, what's after that? Nothing? Is it just Doomsday? Next year?
I can't think of anything. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure after Fantastic Four, it's Doomsday and then Spider-Man 4 and then Secret Wars.
Yeah.
Maybe there's another movie that'll pop up in the middle there or something, but I'm pretty sure that's it. So whatever this rift is, I don't think we're going to get a glimpse of it before Doomsday.
Nope, we're not.
So are we either going to have this whole rift happen off screen?
Yeah.
Or are we going to waste story real estate during Doomsday for this petty difference between them that feels almost like they're trying to catch up to a similar starting point for the Avengers in Infinity War, where they're fractured.
They're broken up. Yeah.
And it's like, can we just start the movie with them as friends?
Right.
And because there's plenty of other things happening. And yeah, just the fact that there's no name, and it's the fact that it's tacked on like in a post credit scene. It's not like it's baked into the movie and they couldn't avoid it. Like, oh shit, like we reversed that later, but it's too late to reshoot it. This is like something they could have easily left out or reshot and excluded. So for some reason, it's really important for us to know that there is a sort of a rift between the government sponsored New Avengers and the recovering Avengers.
But
why?
But why? And why would Bucky have been loyal to the New Avengers over Sam?
Yeah.
Like, why would he have been like, no, Sam, these are good people.
Why is it a problem? Why is it a problem at all? Why did they just say, oh, cool, we've got some people too. And hey, the government gave us Stark Tower. Yeah. You should just move all your stuff in. Like, just great. We've got a setup already.
And why would Sam say no? Is it just because Valentina is because it's state sponsored?
Pass the purity test, or because it's state sponsored.
But even so, Yelena says at the end, "We own you now." Yeah. So Valentina's not in charge.
No.
So I don't understand why Sam would have been, lying in the sand. No, I'm not joining this stupid team of yours, Bucky. And then Bucky would be like, well, then I'm going to stay with them. That doesn't make sense to me.
It always goes well when we fight amongst ourselves.
Yeah, right. They're every bit the heroes that you are, Sam.
Wouldn't we learn our lesson from Infinity War? Hey, remember last time we were in a petty disagreement? Like we almost fucking destroyed the universe.
Right. And also like Bucky's cool-headed enough to be like, and like wise enough that if Sam was like, okay, hold on. Yeah. You're going to stick your neck out for the New Avengers led by the United States government instead of my team that I'm trying to build. And also, you just lost your entire political career, Bucky. Let me help you. Like, there's a lot of goodwill that Captain America has right now. Let me help you. Don't stay with these guys. Or why would he even draw the line in the sand and say, don't stay with these guys? Why wouldn't he just be like, invite them all in?
Yeah, you don't have
everyone's an Avenger now. Yeah. There is no new Avengers. We're just the Avengers.
The Avengers, yeah.
And hey, I don't like Valentina. Okay, so then she's out. Yeah. Okay, everyone just becomes an Avenger, and the new Avengers dissolve. We just quit. Yeah. We're done. Yeah,
it doesn't ruin the PR campaign or whatever she set up. Like the new Avengers, it's like, oh, and then about a year later, we were like, we
merged with the Avengers.
We merged with our friends who we know.
Imagine the idea of like the new Avengers is like a thing, and everyone's like either really loves it or really hates it. Not my Avengers, whatever. And then suddenly Sam, like Captain America, Thor, whoever else, like Hawkeye, all like gather on a stage, and they're like, hey, the Avengers, we're reforming. The world needs us. Thank you, New Avengers, for keeping us all on track. And at this time, we're going to merge, and the New Avengers are going to be a part of our team. And the New Avengers are done, but the Avengers are here to stay. That would have been a really great career move. And like, some of these guys are rough around the edges, but we believe in them. That would have been a really cool thing. There's no drama in it, but it would have been a really good moment.
There's another thought I had too.
Okay.
Isn't it at the end of the Marvels where Kamala Khan goes to...
I don't know if I remember, but go ahead.
I think Ms. Marvel goes to Kate Bishop. Yes. And she's like, hey, I'm putting a team together.
The Young Avengers.
So I'm thinking, what if there's the Avengers, the New Avengers, and the Young Avengers? And it's possible, this would be dumb, but it's possible Doomsday starts with these three people being like, okay, what are we calling ourselves? And it's resolved in a single scene.
It's like just a big conference room.
Yeah, they're in like a boardroom, like
they're on Zoom
with an arbitrator. Like, okay, like like just bickering over copyright.
Yeah,
like,
right.
This is, like we got the young Avengers over here with all these kids, and we got the old Avengers. No, we're not the old Avengers. We're the Avengers. Okay, well, we're the new Avengers. So that kind of makes you the old Avengers, and whatever. And it's like, well, you guys are both the old Avengers because we're the young Avengers, and it's just a whole little like thing. And then I don't know. And then like the Empire State Building blows up, and then they're like, oh shit, we gotta go, Doomsday, and then we start.
Yeah, right. Yes.
I don't know.
The arbitrator played by Kevin Hart says, now hold on. Y'all are all just Avengers.
Bruce
and
Campbell.
Then they're all just, yeah. All right. We're the Avengers then, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Too late. Yeah. There's a building. There's been an explosion. You're all the Avengers. Go.
Go. Yeah. Yeah.
But there is that thing of like, oh, you're collecting a team, we're collecting a team. And it's like, is this intentionally supposed to be as messy as we feel like the MCU is right now? Or is this just a hilarious joke where you don't realize how messy this is? How messy you've made this,
I feel like they don't know how messy it is.
Right. But you would think like this late in the game, in the phase, they would be like, okay, we are not going to include a scene where we're not going to include scenes at the end of Captain America 4 and Thunderbolts where we are expressly discussing the idea of formulating separate teams.
Yeah.
I can see if they did it at the end of Ms. Marvel and it's like, we're not doing that anymore,
Yeah.
Cassie Lang and all that. Like, that's not going to be a thing. But to distinctly do it in their two most recent projects in the same year, it's like, okay, it's clearly part of their plan. I don't understand what narrative purpose that serves.
Yeah.
That is not just going to be cluttered, and it's just not a conflict I'm just sort of waiting to resolve itself. Like, that's not interesting to me.
I don't understand the need for the 14 months. Maybe
jump.
I will, but right now I don't understand that.
That's the thing. It's like, okay, obviously something could have happened in that time. When are we going to see that? I don't think we're going to see that.
I don't think so. So I unless they later do Black Widow 2 prequel, whatever, and fill in some gaps.
14 months
but
is a very specific time jump. And so it's clearly like someone at Marvel thought about, okay, when should the Fantastic Four arrive at Earth? Like, and how far is that from the official present day of the thing? And it's like, okay, so it matters. We just don't know why yet.
Right. Well, but my thought is like, wait, is it 14 months between now and the release of Doomsday? Would that be the 14 months?
No, Doomsday's in May, I think.
Is it? Okay,
so it's not 12 months.
Okay, interesting. Oh well. Anyway, my thought is like, why not just end it with, okay, we're the new Avengers. We've got all the press, not my Avengers, all those things. And then it's like them returning from a mission and they're like settling in, and you have the Avengers. Mm-hmm. Like I said, it's Cap, it's Thor, it's Hawkeye, it's whoever else, all there waiting on them.
Yeah.
Boots on the table, okay, all right, we got to talk, y'all.
Yeah.
And it's okay. We've let y'all be the new Avengers. You've had your fun. The Avengers are ready to reassemble.
Yeah.
And we need you. And then during this conversation is when the Fantastic Four rocket is seen, and they all see it. Yeah. Then we move into Doomsday as a group, not as this fracture, because you're right. We're going to be wasting story time in Doomsday with a fractured team.
Yeah. And I just, at this point, to see like adults, like characters that we've literally grown with, to watch them fall into like a petty human dispute like this.
I'm mad at you.
Yeah. It's like, it's just kind of dumb. And so they either are going to find a clever way to resolve it, or it's going to be a dumb thing that we have to endure at the beginning of what's hopefully otherwise a good movie.
It's going to be Matt Murdock, like going through all the legal paperwork of trademarks and this is awful.
I think that's a good thing. Like they come back and everyone's there, and then the ship arrives. And then when Doomsday starts, we're not in medias res yet. We do the Marvel thing. Like, we catch up to that scene like the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Like we get a quick little, like what's been going on the past few months. We assemble, and then it's like, then we go up in the tower, and then we have that scene. It's cut a little differently. And then they arrive and it's like, oh, what's going on?
Right.
Huh.
Yeah. I don't know. It just it didn't sit right with me. The post credits and what they did with Bucky didn't sit right with me. But I also, like I mentioned earlier, plot contrivances, and there's a lot of them here that I felt like they started to stack up. The first one that I noticed was like Valentina's assistant. I forget her name.
I happened to scroll past her name, Mel.
Okay. So Mel, so Valentina is the head of the CIA. Why is her number two? Why her closest lackey completely unvetted in this way of like, she's not okay with what Valentina's doing. She's on the fence about things.
Yeah.
How did Valentina, smart as she may or may not be, allow herself to be in that position?
Yeah.
And then later it seems like she knows because Mel calls Bucky and then comes outside and like Valentina's waiting and is like, I don't know, Mel, you need to make a decision. But so it's kind of like, okay, so she knows, but then she doesn't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't really know. And I'm like, so she's really not that smart. And then on top of that, Valentina, the head of the CIA, currently under investigation, very stupidly reveals, hey, those people we put in that chamber to burn them alive, they escaped. Well, we need to fix this, right in front of a driver that she's not sure who he is, and it turns out to be Alexei. Mm-hmm. That's a really dumb move. And so I kept waiting for that to have been intentional. And like Valentina to be like, yeah, you idiot. Of course I knew that was you. And of course I did that for you. But that wasn't the case. It just was a dumb slip of the tongue in front of an unvetted driver.
Yeah.
And also, I don't care who you are. I don't think you're going to be talking your way into driving the head of the CIA as just a no-name limo service.
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
I don't think that's going to be happening.
Pretty sure it would be a government driver.
Yeah.
Secret Service and
right. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
And so plot contrivance.
Sure. Yeah.
And then I don't know where this underground bunker is that they go to in the first place. But one, Bob was in a box. They bumped the box opened. Had they not bumped the box, Bob would never have opened. But they bumped the box and Bob opened and he came out. He does his thing.
Bob opened.
But Valentina eventually admits she thought all the test subjects died. So why wasn't Bob disposed of with all the other bodies which weren't in that room? Why was he kept separate? Unless this thing was kept secret from Valentina, but who was keeping that secret? The guy at the beginning, the scientist, says Valentina doesn't realize what the Century Project was or whatever. I'm like, well, why not? She's the one in charge. I don't understand this. And so it's plot contrivance that Bob is even there in the first place and that he gets bumped and that he gets opened. Now, had the characters made an active choice, this looks like a suspicious box. Let's open this box. The characters made that choice. But as it is, it's a coincidental bumping of a box that opened Bob that started the whole thing off in the first place. So all that to say, oh, and then the plot contrivance of the battery of the thing that we need to destroy is in the room with us, not powered outside of the room.
Thank God.
I'm so glad that it's here inside this room. And that she left a very convenient 2-minute timer on the wall for us to be focused on.
I thought about that with the tire. It came on. I was like, why don't you just incinerate immediately? Like,
press a button, boom,
incinerate.
Fire. Yeah, that's weird.
Oh, we have 2 minutes.
Why you have 2 minutes? Hope you don't find a way out of this. That's a classic villain lair mentality.
Nice move.
But yeah, there's all of that that's going on. And anyway, but wherever that facility is, it was, I guess, filmed in Utah. So, and I forget, Alexei says something like the drive through wherever. He names a state. I don't know which one it is.
Oklahoma.
Anyway, Oklahoma, sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, the distance between Washington, D.C. and Oklahoma, we know that his vehicle tops out sub 60 miles per hour.
50 something.
I did the math. It's a 43-hour drive if you do not stop, which we know his vehicle does not get good gas mileage and requires multiple stops.
Yeah.
43 hours to get from DC to Utah. How did he make it in a single night? I don't get it. It's weird. In 12 hours, he's there. That's strange. That bumped me. There's a lot of these little things, but then the big one by the end of it, this is my last point. They come out of the shadow realm or whatever, and they look over, and Valentina's like, "No, you idiot! I told you to not go over there." Whatever she's saying, it's dumb and really like stilted. And I thought like, oh, is this just a really bad like reshoot from Julia Louis-Dreyfus? Like, is she just that bad? And then it's revealed that like she's luring them onto the stage of this press conference. And I'm like, when did you set this up? When you were in the shadow realm? Yeah. When did all these people get here?
I was going to say,
shadow. I don't understand.
When did the press get here? Were they here and then they got shadowed?
Yeah,
and everyone's standing there like
planning a press conference, so maybe.
Well, they would have had to have been waiting there already, right?
They would have had to have been waiting there,
which means this all just happened to them as well because they're directly under Bob. And then when it ends, none of them are like, "Fuck, that was weird. Does anyone want to talk about what we just saw?" They're just like, "All right, let's just do our jobs.
Let's just do it." And
do you want to talk about what we just saw? Sure don't.
I don't. Let's just keep working. Let's shut down the trauma. I also just watched my grandmother die 17 times in a row. And they constructed a fake wall for her to lure them through.
It's quick. That was quick work.
When did this happen? And so by this point, like, I should just be along for the ride, but there's just so many of these plot contrivances that I'm like,
it is kind of hokey.
How did this happen?
When did you do all this?
I don't understand any of this. And I also love how easy it was to create a kill switch for Sentry.
It's just a remote.
She's like, "We destroyed the kill switches," and she's like, "Well, then make another one." Yeah. And like 2 hours later, they've got a kill switch.
I got it.
I'm like, "How did you do that?"
I went into the shop. And
I just have to Bluetooth pair it to Sentry's head. I don't. Hey, Bob, can you stand still for a second?
We have to pair you with this kill switch.
We have to pair you with this.
With the only thing that could murder you.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever.
Maybe they did while he was sleeping, Dustin.
Does he sleep?
Not with his childhood. He doesn't. Not well.
Not well.
His dad made sure of that.
That's right. Yeah. I don't know, man. There's a lot of those little things. Again, fun movie, but the script needed a rewrite, not just in terms of character arcs, but also these little things. Like, it just seemed like such a placeholder that somebody was like, "Okay, Alexei has to make it to the underground bunker. Okay, how does he do it? I don't know. He drove Valentina.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So let's retroactively go back and say he owns a limo service and he does. Oh, great. Okay. That's a great placeholder. Maybe we'll come back to that in another draft and iron that out. And then they just don't come back to it. Not to mention, Alexei really wanted to work for Valentina. It's probably not a great idea to just weasel your way into her car.
Well, weasel her into your car.
Weasel her into your... Yeah, how does that even work? She just got into that vehicle?
I was going to say, wouldn't she see it and go, Red Guardian, that guy looks a lot like that. Right? Wait a second.
Yeah.
She knows who he
Guardian
is.
limo service. Where's my normal car?
This is the director of the CIA,
driver,
like
that I pay. I pay money to this guy. He's on staff.
Yeah.
And now I'm being driven by this dude?
Where's the Secret Service? Why are we being driven without any security?
Driven without any security, loose lipping some secrets, and also
just talking classified shit.
Just talking classified. Doesn't matter. I don't care, Mel. Just make it happen, Mel. And like right in front of this guy who's
Mel,
like,
make sure we murder these people, okay? I've got it.
He reeks of vodka and has a Santa Claus beard. I'm sure he means well.
Well, and she says later, like in the tower, she's like, "Who's this sad red Santa?" And it's like,
yeah.
And you go, "Hey, weren't you my driver?
Didn't you drive me?
Yeah.
No less than 36 hours ago."
So that means she got into this limo and either has no memory of meeting this man, this very distinct looking man, who again she should know because of who he is. Or he never got out of the limo. They opened the door by themselves, which would have been super impolite. And they were just like, let's just get in. Here's the driver's here. Let's just get in without even checking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Correct. and then I was also bummed by the fact that Bob, so Bob comes out of the bunker, or he goes up toward the front of the bunker. He's shooting the gun. Mm-hmm. Everybody unloads on him, and then he slumps. He comes back. He starts floating, and he goes up in the air. Yeah. By that time, our trio, John Walker, Valentina, and Ghost, have driven off. But somehow they know that the speck in the sky is Bob, and when he comes back down, they're like, "Oh, that was Bob." And I'm like, how do you know that? I don't know if you know that. It's little things like that where I'm like, it just needed somebody to read the script and go, how do they know that?
Yeah.
And then like, oh, maybe Bob's wearing something very obvious, or they have a chip on him, or I don't know, something.
Yeah.
But like they've driven away, they're too far away. They can't see that by this point.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's strange, but it's little things like that where I'm just like, okay, whatever. This is a thing. It's whatever.
It's one of those movie things where it's like, you do have to accept at a certain point. You don't have to accept it well, but you have to accept like they know it's Bob because I know it's Bob. But there is that thing of like, but
in universe,
there should be a way for them to know it's Bob.
Yeah, exactly.
Distinctly.
Yes. Somebody at work mentioned this to me. Do you remember at the end, there's that big, I don't know, it's like a big piece of a wall or something that all the Thunderbolts are lifting. Mm-hmm. And like John Walker is even there, and they're like having a hard time lifting it. You got like 3 super soldiers and you can't lift this thing. Okay, that's fine, whatever.
Bucky stopped a bus with his fucking arm, but they can't lift this.
But
I saw that in the trailer and I was like, I don't like that. That's too powerful.
Much.
Yeah, it's too much.
So that's what I mean. The power scales are all over the place because that, like, it's too hard to lift a wall for 7 people and 3 super soldiers. Mm-hmm. And yet, so you might say, okay, well, obviously the super soldier serum just makes you peak human, not superhuman. Yeah. But we know it makes you superhuman. Yeah. And also earlier in the film, John Walker literally leaps like hundreds of feet up in the air. So he's in that little shaft and he like jumps.
Yeah,
and he's
that's
like,
right.
We can't even see him anymore. He's gone.
That's true.
And then dude comes back down and I'm like, dude, your leg muscles to do that? Yeah. That's ridiculous. Yeah, and you're telling me you can't lift a wall?
That was a little too much. Yeah.
I never saw Steve Rogers jump that way.
Yeah, that was some big ups.
That was a jump, dude. And I don't know. Anyway, there's some power scaling issues there for sure.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah. Well,
it's a movie.
So
it's fun to watch, and obviously there are some like dramatic moments that hit and are really nice. Like there's that really nice scene with Alexei and Yelena under the bridge. I do wish that it was filmed in a different location that was a little more, I don't know, less scrappy. It felt like a reshoot. It probably wasn't, but it felt like we just shoot it somewhere. And anyway, he's talking to her and he's telling her like, I'm sorry I wasn't there. And she's like, I needed you. And like, that's a really nice moment.
Yeah.
And David Harbour plays that really well. Like obviously Florence Pugh does as well. Yeah. But like David Harbour's sensitivity in that scene was striking because throughout the film, he's just a big goofball.
Yeah.
And so when that scene happens, it really hit like, oh, he really does love her. And, And that was a really nice moment. The moment where he saves the little girl was really nice. And there's like some really nice moments in here that I really enjoyed. And so that's where like all these plot contrivances, they bother me. Mm-hmm. But like, if you can still give me something that makes me feel something, I will forgive it.
Yeah.
I wish I felt more than I did, but I'm glad I felt something. And I just wish there weren't as many plot contrivances. If you just short up a few of those issues, I think this really would have been could have been a really big standout film in the MCU.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just a few little things like that stack up on top of each other and create, that, I don't know, that feeling. But yeah, I don't know, man.
Well, we got about 2 minutes left, this stupid recording. So I do want to say a couple things about the lineup of what's happening next. So this was technically the last film of phase 5. So now we're going into phase 6. Got Fantastic Four, July 25th. And then the next movie is Avengers Doomsday, May 1st, 2026. And then the end of July 2026 is Spider-Man. And then the following May is Secret Wars. There's series. There's still one more television series to be in phase 5, and that's Ironheart. And so I feel like that's going to lend credence to my Young Avengers theory. I feel like at the end of that, she and maybe even Shuri will get recruited to the Young Avengers. And if they keep doing that stuff, then I'm like, okay, this is definitely going to be some kind of a thing. Let's see which thread they're dropping. But then after all the movies, like we've got like Eyes of Wakanda and Marvel Zombies, stuff that I don't think is going to matter at all. This just, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man season 2, that kind of stuff is separate. I don't know if Wonder Man's attached to anything or if that's just its own thing, but there is Daredevil Born Again season 2 and Vision Quest. And I think Born Again season 2 is happening right before, Doomsday. So who knows?
Who knows? I almost said, hey, Spidey could be a Young Avenger, but then I realized nobody knows who Spidey is.
Right. And I'm guessing Brand New Day is going to do something it's probably going to break Strange's spell. Yeah. Like everyone's going to have to remember him. So I don't know. We'll see.
I can only imagine the studio notes for that movie is like, make everyone remember him so we can have Zendaya. And also you have to bring Toby and Andrew back.
Yeah.
And the screenwriter's pulling his hair out right now.
Yeah. Please.
Or her hair out.
Nah, Chris McKenna and Eric Summers, man.
His hair out.
Yeah.
Their hair out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Zer. All right. Well, that's Thunderbolts, or sorry, now they're tearing the posters. Like now they're marketing it as the new Avengers.
Yeah.
Which I just want to say real quick before we get cut off, like that is something that was a theory I read way back that someone thought, there it fucking goes.
Darn it. We got cut
just
off.
going to say real quick. That was a theory way back where somebody said that was what the asterisk was going to mean, that it was a placeholder name and that they were going to be revealed as the new Avengers and that would be an alternate title at the end of the movie. And that's exactly what happened. Hello.
What's up?
Anyway. Well, that was the episode.
That was the episode.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everyone.